135 pounds. We've had this incredible fight going on right now in the media. Like, I prefer this situation for Dana. I prefer when Dana gets to come in and be a judge, a decision maker. There's X amount of athletes going to the media, looking for the mandate, beautiful resumes, making very compelling cases for why they should get an opportunity, in this case, a number one contendership and a title shot against Sean O'Malley. But I really like it when that happens. It's so much better for the sport. It's such a wonderful problem to have. I also think for the drama behind it, the storytelling, the release, the PR, the marketing, I think it's a much more interesting time when Dana sees what's in front of him, knows what's not, right? I mean, it does two different things when guys step forward to start battling out. It also lets you know who I should not be considering. And then makes the decision, as opposed to the way that it is generally done, which is they get into the war room, they come up with names, and they start talking about it themselves, and then it gets revealed to us. Somebody gets a phone call. Oh, my goodness. I had no idea that this was coming. We're engaged, right? I mean, it's one of those things. I'm fighting for the belt. I just like this spot. As I look at 135 pounds right now, I mean, this was all in the last 20 minutes, guys. I'm reading online. Henry Cejudo is going directly after Suga Sean. Merab is laying his case out there, talking about all the guys that he's beaten. Talking about 3 former champions that he's beaten and that he should be given the opportunity. And in all fairness, Merab is in the mix somewhere. There was just like, before I can personally get behind it, just if I'm stating for Chael's position, there was discussions of Merab being on the Boston card against Henry, as a matter of fact, but he couldn't do it because there was something to do with a operation or surgery on his hand. So I just haven't been given confirmation that the hand is better. It's the only part that makes me reluctant. Like, I do understand the argument that Merab would have for something spectacular. Okay. Then you got Chito, and you got Sean himself telling Chito, settle down. I want to fight you, and I plan to fight you, but I don't have to fight you. Which is just a very interesting dialogue. Once again, Henry inserted himself, and once again, Corey Sandhagen has no idea that there's a fight going on that greatly could affect his entire life. Okay, great, but it's still a fun spot, and it's not a normal spot. Like, I can't tell you that about the women's strawweight division. Can I tell you that about the men's heavyweight division? I couldn't tell you that about the light heavyweight, right? I don't know. We don't have guys that are bickering. We don't have guys that are making their argument. We aren't having guys that simply say, not only do I want it, not only do I believe that I could succeed if I had it, I deserve it. And then they go out and they make their case. And it really is a great problem to have. And it's a massive problem if you don't have it within your division. Now, in spite of all these things going on, okay, there does seem to be one name left out, which is Aljamain Sterling. Well, let me tie that in, because Aljo has said things like rematch in 2024. Aljo has now made it very clear that he is returning, and that he is returning at 135 pounds. The bounce that Aljo's going to get off of this loss is something that he doesn't understand yet. When Aljo returns, he is going to return far more popular than he has ever been. And a lot of that has to do with the flat-out meanness that was shown to him last week. It was mean-spirited. The way he was treated as the champion, who did a 91-day turnaround just so that the match could even take place, in a weight class that he says he's more comfortable on a personal level of leaving, the boos that he had, and then the complete humble graciousness he showed in defeat. I mean, Aljo is going to be very big. If Suga Sean is the biggest star in that division right now, Aljo's number 2. And I don't know that that would have been true a few weeks ago or even a month ago, right? Like, Aljo's star is on the rise. And there's a lot of things you can do in defeat that you can't do in victory if it's done correctly. And I just submit for you that Aljo has done those things. Now, when you do look at 135, Merab came out, he told Suga Sean, I already stole your coat, now I'm going to go steal your belt. Then he ran through who he had beaten. He didn't touch on whether or not the hand was better. And again, I'm personalizing, making a big thing about it, but I don't want to box him into a fight if I later find out that he's not even able to do the match. So I'm trusting that that hand is better. And I do think that Merab wants the match. And if Merab doesn't do the match, who's Merab supposed to fight? And that answer is very clear. And by the way, it's not Henry Cejudo. The answer is Nurmagomedov. So who do you have Henry fight? And Henry versus Sandhagen is just going to be a tough sell. It's just purely going to be a tough sell. Getting Henry in there with Nurmagomedov is just not going to happen because of the relationship that Henry has with the Nurmagomedovs. Getting Henry to go out and do anything that isn't a world title fight at one point was a waste of breath, but it's not anymore. Henry does understand, hey, I'm going to have to do one. I'm going to have to be a contender. I had my shot. That was my big thing. If I come back, I don't just come back into another shot just because the champion has moved. I'm going to have to go and do this, and he has accepted that. I think that's very good news. I think that's very exciting. I think the sport is better. It's certainly more fun. I think it's better when Henry Cejudo is around. So now you've got Chito Vera, who realizes he's now got competition. Chito realizes he's now in a fight, but he can only speak up so much to go and get the fight because Sean gave him one instruction, which is don't speak up too much. You're going to piss me off and I'm not going to give you the fight, right? Like Chito's in this really hard spot. So if Chito can't go full blaze at Sean, if he feels that, I'm just saying, but if he feels that he can't do that until he has that bout agreement signed, then that forces Chito to go after Merab or go after Henry or go after these guys and let them know, no, this is my opportunity. But if he goes after them the right way, it could turn out being the wrong way because the fans could end up wanting to see that fight. Like one of the great lessons in the last calendar year is when Ankalaev fell over the boat and took Blachowicz with him. Like, I mean, that's a story that needs to be studied when you're trying to get the psychology of call-outs. And as I looked at 135, I just can't really think of a time that it's been more fun. Fun's not a word we get to use very often. Entertaining, we never counted on those guys for entertainment. I mean, we just never did. They never fully understood it. We had one rivalry in the whole division, just Dominic Cruz and Uriah Faber. And so they fought and then fought again. I mean, it's like one of these spots where you can only do it so many times. And then think, Lord in heaven above, a guy named Cody Garbrandt comes along and TJ Dillashaw starts to get his shot. I mean, right, like there was things that happened and we have these greats. And we have our Hall of Famers to look back on. But we didn't necessarily have them all at the same time, where they were really trying to argue it out. And if I was to juxtapose 135 with any other division, I'd have a hard time doing it. But if I could, like these problems of guys thinking it's my turn, it's my shot, I did this and this, and I've done more than you. Those are great problems to have. That's what a champion wants. A champion wants to be in a division where he can draw. And where if the guy he's planning to do business with gets hurt or gets sick, like all of these wimps in MMA that all pull out of fights for all sorts of different reasons, right? I mean, meanwhile, you have Suga Sean. We find out he's got a bad rib. You know how bad a bad rib is? Oh, my goodness. Of all the pains that I've ever had, a bad rib, far as being painful, of ouch, of actual, of hard to breathe, of it will make you psychologically think before you move in any direction. I have never had a pain like a bad rib. And Sean not only went into a fight with a bad rib, he is lining up his next fight with that same bad rib. I mean, I'm just sharing for you, right? Like some guys are built different. Meanwhile, another guy, he doesn't feel good, he pulls out of a fight. I mean, I could play that game right in that same division 2 weeks earlier where a guy who's meaningful pull out of a fight. I mean, it happened to be a main event. It happens all the time. So when you have these actual guys that would like to make some money and they're fully aware that whoever I'm opposite, as great of a partner as he might be, there's no guarantee that he'll show up. So now I need a good, strong bench. I need interchangeable mediocrities that can still sell out an arena. Not an easy spot to get, but that's controlled by your leader, who is your champion. And right now, 135 pounds is in very good hands.